Hello and welcome to Family Sunday here at the Sculpture Park. My name's Rach and later on you'll meet Kaitlin and Genevieve. I wonder if you can guess where I am. This is what the ground looks like. This is what the sky looks like. And this is what I can see all around. I'm actually inside a sculpture in the Sculpture Park. It's by an artist called Christina Iglesias and it's called Vegetation Room. If you look closely at the walls, you might be able to tell what she has used to make them. Any ideas? They are casts of plants. Do you see the stems? Or perhaps their roots? It's hard to tell. The textured surface you can see here is actually made from something called fiberglass, which is used to make boats and things. It's got some bronze powder on it to make it look like metal. I think that at this time of year I might be able to find some real things growing in the Sculpture Park. Let's have a look, shall we? And see what we can find. Here is our ancient oak tree, the Mayor Oak. The bark of this tree is really rough and gnarly. It's how I imagine the walls of the vegetation room would feel if I touched those. Such a big trunk as well, look at that. I don't think I could get my arms around it. I think I'd need at least 3 or 4 friends. I'm going to leave the oak tree behind now and go a bit further into the woods to see if I can find anything else growing. Now here's something. Can you see these green, fresh looking leaves? Very smooth. And then this tiny flower, this tiny yellow flower growing out of the ground. It feels very delicate. And it moves a little bit in the breeze. Down at the bottom of this mossy silver birch stump, we've got some green shoots coming out of the ground here, just poking up through the leaf mould. Long, shiny, green. Now I don't know what these are going to be. Perhaps we'll see some flowers soon, perhaps crocuses or bluebells. Have to come back in a couple of weeks and see what's happened. Do you know what this flower is called? Beautiful and white. It's a snowdrop. Look at its gorgeous, delicate petals. So soft. Well, Genevieve makes work using plants. I wonder if she's got any ideas for us to make some special growing artworks. Hello, Genevieve.
Hello Rach, hi everyone. My name's Genevieve and I am here at home and I'm going to be showing you how you can turn edible materials, ingredients into plant-based colour. So thank you Rach for showing us the vegetation room and some of the examples of the trees and plants growing at the Sainsbury's Centre. That's given us lots of inspiration for the next activity. So let's have a look at some plant-based materials that can give you colour. We'll also be sowing some seeds that we can watch grow through the summer. So you can grow them at home and watch them turn from young new shoots into big plants. So I've got 3 examples here of some colour that you can make from plants. Now you might have these ingredients at home, or you might be able to discover some new colours from other ingredients. So here are my 3 examples of colour made from plants. So can you guess what vegetable might make this bright pink colour? What spice do you think makes this really strong yellow? And finally, I've also got here some plants that I've ground up. What plants do you think make this green colour? Maybe think about vegetables. So did you guess what colours came from what spices, vegetables or plants? Well, I'm going to tell you. So firstly, we have this lovely pink colour, and this one came from beetroot. You can see it's a lovely rosy pinky bright colour there. Then we had a bright yellow. Now that came from the spice turmeric. So you can see it there. And I made it into a paint consistency by adding a little bit of water. There we go. And finally, I had a green. Now this came from leafy green vegetables like spinach and chard that I ground up in a little bit of water. So you can see it makes a lovely green colour in the bottom there. So depending on what vegetables you've got or what plants or ingredients, you can make your own colour. Okay, so with your plant colour mixed yourself at home, I would like you to create a painting of a bright, growing spring garden. So if you're using things like spices, such as this turmeric, to make it into a paint consistency, I added 2 spoonfuls of the spice and 3 teaspoons of water. So be careful when you're adding water because you don't want it too much liquid in there because it loses the colour. So just practice with getting the consistency just right, and a little bit of water will help you do that. So you might look back at Rach's visit to the Sainsbury's Centre for some inspiration, or have a look out of your window, maybe take a walk to the park or look in your garden for some spring inspiration for your natural colour painting. In my painting, I'm taking inspiration from big bright spring flowers, from stems and leaves. Once you have finished your fabulous spring painting using your natural plant colours, I'd like you to pop it to one side and then move on to sowing your seeds. Now we're going to be sowing sunflower seeds and we're going to be popping them in an egg box. So I'd like you to fill each little pocket of an egg box with some soil or compost. Fill each egg box with soil and then press 1 or 2 seeds into each of the pockets so that the soil covers them. It would be useful to pop your egg tray on a plastic tray of some sort so it captures any excess moisture. So you'll need to keep your seeds moist but not too wet, and the tray will help just capture any of that. So before it goes out on your windowsill to start growing, I'd like you to attach your fabulous spring painting made with your natural plant colours to the back of your egg tray. And now this will become a height chart so that you can track your sunflower seedlings growing and you can use it to mark off the height. In a few weeks, once your sunflower seedlings have grown, you could get an adult to help you make dramatic shadows by playing with light. It's a bit like the shadows found on the walls of the vegetation room that Rach showed us earlier. These are my pea shoots that I've been growing at home. That's all from me. I'm now going to pass you over to Kaitlin, who's got some very inspirational ideas of how to capture the texture and shapes of plants. Hello, Kaitlin.
Thanks, Genevieve. That was lovely. So, hello, I'm Kaitlin, another artist from the Sainsbury's Centre, and I'm going to show you some different artworks that you can make inspired by natural textures. So, to find some textures, you're going to want to go for a walk, perhaps near where you live, or if you're lucky enough, come and have a walk around the Sainsbury's Centre. And near to Vegetation Room, there's loads of really interesting natural textures we can use as inspiration. There's textures in bark on the trees, there's textures on the ground, there's textures in stones, on branches, or even on pathways that humans have made. There's textures and patterns everywhere we look. So first of all, you're going to want to make a recording card. That's really easy. It's just a little bit of card with 2 strips of double-sided sticky tape on. And find somewhere to sit down on your walk and create a little collection of interesting textures to use as inspiration. Here I've chosen a feather, some bark, a pine cone, and a few other interesting bits. You always take a picture of your recording card as well. Another way to collect textures is to do some rubbings on your walk. To do this, all you need is some plain printer paper and some crayons or some colouring pencils as well. And hold your paper down and rub the pencil, you'll collect the texture. Next up, I'm going to show you how to do some printmaking using these items. So all you need for this is a felt tip pen, some blue tack and some paper to print on. It's really easy. So I sat down in the forest just by Vegetation Room and I had a go. What you do is you get a little ball of blue tack and warm it up by rubbing it in between your hands. Using your thumbs, flatten it out so it becomes a circle. And then using your pen, carefully colour in the blue tack so it's completely covered. And I'm using a black pen here, but you could use any colour. And once you've coloured the whole surface, you're going to really gently press something that has an interesting texture into it. Then what you do is you take your blue tack stamp and you push it on your piece of paper. And be sure to use your thumbs and push it all the way down and make sure it's really nice and squished into the paper, and gently peel it off and it'll create a print. So on these videos you can see I've been repeating the process, doing different textures and experimenting, creating different marks. And here is my prints. Now once you get back home, you can use the print that you've made on your walk as inspiration to develop a more extensive piece. Using the same process, you can continue on with the technique, but this time adding colour. So I'm getting a little bit of blue tack just as I did before, rolling it out nice and flat. And this time I'm going to use a coloured pen. You can use felt tip pens, or I'm using a chalk pen here. And I'm going to continue on with my spiral pattern of my prints, but this time I'm going to add colour. So I'm colouring in my blue tack. And I'm going to use one of my pine cones from my walk. pressing it in. And already you can see what the texture is going to be like. And then just begin to press it into the paper. Nice even pressure all the way around. And peel it off. And there's my coloured print. And what's great about the blue tack is we can keep using it again and again. So I'm going to add some more colour. Now what you can also experiment doing is combining colours on one print. So I'm going to use both purple and blue and create some stripes using my chalk pen. So it's really good to think really carefully what are the colours going to be in your design, perhaps even thinking about what they represent. I really like blue and purple as my favourite colours because they remind me of nature. Blue sunny sky and purple flowers. Okay, and once that's all coloured in, you can add your texture and you can either press it in or keep it stuck onto your print. And just like before, squish it on your paper. And gently peel it off. There's your combination. And what you can also do when your print is dry is add some extra layers on by drawing on it. So think carefully about the textures that you recorded. I really liked the pine cones that I picked up. So I'm going to draw some pine cone patterns. And here is my prints. I really hope you've enjoyed having a go at printmaking inspired by different textures in nature. And next up, I'm going to hand back over to Rachel. Bye!
Thank you, Kaitlin, and thank you, Genevieve. I'm back outside the vegetation room and got myself some blue tack ready to find some textures. Now the sculpture park is a really good place to find lots of different textures, and if you live nearby then maybe you could come and visit the vegetation room and come inside and see what it's like for yourself. Don't forget, Kaitlin, Genevieve and I would love to see the things that you make with your families and to see the pieces of special growing art that you've made. So do let us know how you get on. You can send photographs and comments to me here at the Sainsbury Centre and you'll hear back from us. We'll tell you what we thought and you'll be able to see what everybody else has been doing. See you soon. Bye.